Hi guys, and welcome to the Now Moto podcast, the first one of 2025. Yay! Joined by Matt and Isabella, and we are just going to expand on the post that was the rider ratings of 2024 that I put up. Everybody's going to be discussing it a bit more in detail with their own opinions uh, of why. So, should we just hop straight into it, guys?
I agree.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So in first place, I posted like obviously this is going to be the championship positions they finished in, as opposed to my personal ratings. So the championship winner first was Jorge Martin. I gave him a 10 out of 10. Said the championship winner did very well. In my opinion, I don't think you can give a championship winner anything less than a 10 out of 10 because he won the championship, and he made the most of his whole season. Isabella, what did you rate him?
I also rated him a 10 because he was always there in every single qualifying, every single sprint, every race. He was so consistent that I agree with you. Anything less than a 10 would actually be a discredit to his championship.
Yeah, exactly. And Matt.
Well, I guess I'm going to start the controversy then. I gave him a 9.5.
Oh,
Be- the
okay.
only reason I said I couldn't give him a 10 is because he didn't just completely win every single race. It's
What the,
very unlikely to do such a thing, but it's possible.
if
So
that's your
there is
margin
room for
for
improvement.
10, holy shit. So nobody got a 10
Hey,
for you.
9.5. I didn't give anyone else a 9.5.
But
He did quite well.
still, like, my God, if that's your limit for a 10 out of 10, then you're never going to see a 10.
Ten's a perfect score, and but he didn't have a perfect season, so that was my thought on it.
But the perfect season is winning the championship.
I don't know, because then the perfect season would be winning the all three of the titles like Mark did in 19.
I suppose. Like, well, Pramac did win the team championship as well.
Yes, and Ducati won the
Yeah, so
constructors,
technically.
but
Yeah, I think I,
either way,
I think you suck with that rating, to be honest. That's
I'm sure you think that.
so very much that I'm expecting low scores from you now then.
Oh, you'll be surprised, I'm sure.
Oh, okay then. Then yeah, I think you might just out yourself as an idiot here, but we'll carry on anyway. So yeah, that was 10 out of 10 for me and Isabella, and 9.5 from Matt for our championship winner Jorge Martin. So on to second place in the championship, Pecco Bagnaia. I gave him also a 10 out of 10 because, as I've said in the post, he won over half of the main races and he deserves a 10. That there must be some bitterness from Pecco that he won 11 races in the championship and didn't win the championship. Granted, it's his own fault because he threw it away, but to win over half and still not win a championship, he must be so bitter. And I think there's some justification in there to be bitter. Isabella, what did you give him?
I gave him an 8 out of 10 because
Oof.
when the margins are that fine, the mistakes that he made, no other rider was making them that was battling for the championship, just him. And I think that shows a lot about his character, his skill. Like, I
Oof.
think an 8 out of 10 is an accurate representation.
Oof. Oof. 8. Oof.
I also gave him an 8,
Woo. Okay.
Ooh.
just because he did put his foot wrong many times.
Hmm.
He did win a lot of races, but as improving this from the championship, just winning that many isn't enough. You need to not crash out and lose a bunch of points to your opponents. So
That is fair. I did consider giving him a less because obviously 8 crashes to Jorge Martin's 3.
yes,
That's what cost him in the long run. But
yes.
also to hold the record for the most wins in a season and still not win a title. Like, there's got to be a bit of like, if I was Pecco, I'd just be sat there now in Italy thinking, fuck, fuck, fuck. You know what I mean?
Oh, I absolutely agree. Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity. I feel as opposed to him. I'm not going to say Martin was lucky, but Martin was very fortunate to be able to capitalize on Pecco's mistakes. If they'd been even
Yeah, but
one less,
these are the same mistakes he was making in 21.
yeah,
It's not like he goes home over the off season. He's like in his bed in Italy. He's like, right, next year I'm not gonna, you're gonna build on this. And it's like, this happens every single season. Like, it cannot be a 10.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I give him a 10 just for simply holding the record of most wins when you consider the
Yeah,
caliber of
that is
riders
pretty
he's
fucking
assisted.
cool.
Oh yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, like that's why I gave him the 10, but I mean, I'm not going to change my mind, but I can totally see why others would not give him a 10.
Hmm.
But yeah, you need, especially next year. We'll, by the way, people, we will be doing another one after the Sepang test of the 2025 look ahead. But in 25, he's going to need to cut that out because he's going to have more than enough hands full. So,
Oh yes.
so yeah, in third place in the championship was Marc Marquez. I gave Marc a 10 out of 10 because he was the best GP23 by a mile. What he did on the older bike, developed on the different tyres, and is a notably worse bike. Yet he still managed to drag it up, beat a couple of GP24s with it. I don't think you need to say anything else about Marc Marquez at this point. He's clearly still got it. And 10 out of 10, I think, is more than fair. What do you reckon, Isabella?
I think you're way too generous because I gave him a 9 out of 10, but of course I agree with all your points. Like his first year on a Ducati to be third in the year and like winning races, always, always up there every single race. Honestly, just remarkable to watch. Like, I think we all became Marc Marquez fans this year. So
Unless you're wearing
honestly,
yellow.
so
But
nah, even the yellow people have converted. You know that.
oof.
Um,
That's a bold statement.
all
Mark?
right.
I gave him a 9 out of 10 because I didn't give him a 10 because he didn't win the championship. He didn't win tons and tons of races. He did win some and did quite well. But to me, he really showed that, he's been like in quotes out of the game for the last few years after his injury.
Yeah.
And he showed everyone that he still got some mark left in him,
Yeah.
So I think a 9 out of 10 is a very fair score for him.
Yeah, I am going to actually fight a corner here and disagree with you two on a 9 because of what he did on his machinery. When we've only got to look at what the other GP23s did for me to realise that it was a pretty special season. I think if he'd been on a 24, based on what he did in the GP23, I think he would have won the championship.
I don't know if he would have won, but I think he definitely would have been even better than it already was.
Well, we'll see this year, won't we? Anyway.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
Yes.
it's gonna be very spicy. But
Yes.
like when you consider the next GP23 was I think 8th with DG, it might even have been 7th. I don't know. We get to it anyway. But like when you consider how far ahead he was of the next equivalent machinery, I think he deserves a 10 because of what he did on it. Like I do think machinery matters almost like in a rating, but I can see why you also didn't give him a 10 because they say he didn't even come top 2 in the championship. So it's like it is tough to give a 10 on that as well. Maybe I'm just too generous. Who knows?
I was going to ask you if we're just giving everyone 10s. So far, that seems to be the trend.
I know, right? That's the current trend.
Yeah, no, it
Just
changes.
everyone gets
it
a 10. They
changes.
rode a bike this year.
Yeah,
Participation trophies handed
yeah,
out.
it changes next. So we'll hop onto that.
Okay.
I think I will say I think this is the best caption I've ever put on any post I've ever done. So I put 4th place for Enea Bastianini. I gave him 8 out of 10. And I said, good at spells, but unfortunately he's not Harry Potter. I expected slightly better. Now,
Boo.
that's funny. Shut up. That's funny.
Boo.
And you know it. But
Yes.
also, I thought he was going to win the championship at one point. And then he proceeded to Enea Bastianini it and be completely inconsistent and throw it all away. Now, Enea, I will say right now, Enea, I think, is one of the most talented riders in that field. He's the things he can do on a bike, not many others can do. If he can sort his consistency, he's going to be a threat. But it's starting to become a trend. And I thought 8 was good because he was in championship contention up until the latter stages of the season. You can't rate him low for that. But I also expect him to be in contention till the very end, and he wasn't. So I think 8 out of 10 is fair. Isabella, what do you think?
I gave him a 7 out of 10 because I agree. Like, he was always there in all the races and super consistent, but being P4, he was consistent at being P4 or being just off the podium. Like, if you look at his season, it's like 5th, 6th, 4th.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can't reward him any higher. But then again, yeah, there's the contrast. He was winning races, lots of podiums, but yeah, not enough to secure a proper championship, test. So it's hard to watch because I'm quite a big personal fan of Anea, and I feel like,
Yeah.
not to talk about 2025 too much, but you don't really see him having this opportunity again on that bike. But anyway,
Ooh, see,
I'm
I'll
excited to
disagree.
be surprised.
Like, I will disagree with that. I think he's going to fly on the KTM. But anyway, yeah, we're not talking
All right.
2025. But I see what you mean. It is a tough one. It's like where he's he's good enough to win the championship, and then he's not.
Mhm.
Yeah, Matt.
I gave him a 6.5 out of 10.
Oh my god.
Because as what has already been stated is he's too inconsistent, and but the problem is his lows are incredible lows. They're not even just had a tough race. It's a straight up bad race, or he crashed or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
His lows are very low. His highs are very high too. He's very, very unpredictable.
Yeah, that's it. Like, when he stuffed Martin at Misano, you thought, yes, this is it. Here we go, and he's going to win this championship.
I also rated him that low because I'm not an Anea fan. I am, in fact, an Anea hater.
What?
Oh, dude.
Because he shouldn't have been on that factory seat anyhow. Martin should have had it
Wrong.
last year.
Wrong.
Yes, he should have.
Wrong.
Yes, he should have.
Outright wrong. Sort your
You
life
can
out.
think that.
I will think that. Wrong. Absolutely
Martin
wrong.
should have had it last year. Yeah.
Well, he should have been rewarded by not winning a title by having a factory bike and deposing the guy who probably would have beaten him last year. Okay, yeah. Let's go with that, should we?
Yep.
Wrong.
We'll keep moving. Don't want to beat that dead horse too much.
Well, I think we've found out something about Matt we don't like, so yeah, that's fine. Just add it to the list. It's okay.
That's what I was going to say. It's not the first thing you found.
No, it's not. But yeah, that was very harsh on Anea, but, still fourth. Anyway, fifth place was Brad Binder. I gave Brad an 8 out of 10, saying best non-Ducati, but somewhat lucky to be the best non-Ducati, and I stand by that. I understand that Acosta threw it down the road quite a lot, but to be, what was it? I think it was 1 or 2 points in the end difference to be in the best non-Ducati between Pedro Acosta and the far more experienced Brad Binder. Acosta, in theory, shouldn't have been in Binder's ballpark, yet almost beat him in his rookie year. But also, can you really rate someone who was the best non-Ducati lower than 8 out of 10? Binder's a really tough one for me. So, yeah, I thought 8 out of 10 was fair. Isabella, what do you think?
Okay, first of all, I don't know why you're rating it relative to just Ducati though. Like, you have to look at his season and understand
Well, yeah,
it
that's
was not
why
that good.
It wasn't, but to be the best non-Ducati, he obviously did something right in terms of consistency.
Mhm.
So that's why I gave him. That's what I mean. Like, it is worth rating someone outside of the top 4, in that he was clearly the most consistent, best of the rest, kind of thing, and I think that is worth something. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah, I rated him a 6 out of 10 because why is he still making the same mistakes, like in terms of qualifying? Why is all the commentators, everybody online, still saying, oh, as soon as Brad sorts his qualifying out, he's going to be a championship contender? How many seasons have we been saying this? Like, still the exact same thing. He is also unable to battle through the pack at this stage unless he's already qualified on the first 2 rows. So it's just like all his races pretty much end where he qualified because that bike is unable to fight through the pack. So it's just like honestly disappointing to see because we all know the potential he has is incredible. But
Yeah.
I can't reward him any higher because the results aren't that good.
Yeah, no, I agree with you in that the results aren't that good. yet somehow ended up fifth. It's a paradox to me, Brad Binder. He's a very confusing man. You never know what he's gonna do. You never know where he's gonna be. Like, he's a baffler. Matt?
Well, I don't know if that's actually true. I think that's the thing. He's very consistent. He's just going to be consistently kind of like in the middle there. Not the middle, but not the front.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he only had
that's
one podium.
that's why I gave him a 7 out of 10 because he is very consistent, and that's his problem is you do know what he's going to do. He's just going to be kind of right there, just not in the front,
Yeah.
and he doesn't qualify well. It's
No, KTM
so
had some
he just
struggles as well
he
this
makes
year.
his race day a lot harder for himself by
Yeah, that's
not
my issue with
qualifying well.
Binder. Is like he almost shoots himself in the foot, and then maybe looks a little better than he actually is because he's fighting through.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's that KTM just couldn't put a hot lap together for love nor money. Acosta was pushing way harder than anybody else just to get near the front in qualifying on that. It's a better race bike than it was qualifying, but you've got to do these things to to win, and Binder didn't do them. So yeah, I'm starting to feel a bit generous here actually with 8 out of 10, but I've done it now, so on we go. So sixth place was Pedro Acosta. I gave Pedro a 10 out of 10. Best based on what he could do as a rookie. Like, a rookie shouldn't be doing that, much less a rookie on a KTM. We've never seen the likes. It's unprecedented of what he's done on a rookie as a rookie. In this era, it's hard enough, but to do it on a KTM, which nobody has stepped up on and done consistently well, brilliantly. I gave Pedro a 10 out of 10 because what he's going to be able to do with a year experience is scary. So, yeah, 10 out of 10 for Pedro, and will not be taking questions at this time. Isabella?
I gave him an 8 out of 10, but your points are completely valid. Like, imagine if he was on a Ducati, like, he probably could have won the championship. Like, it's actually insane to think him versus his teammate that's this season as well. Like, oh my god, top and bottom of the entire grid, honestly. But anywho, as you said, as a rookie, absolutely amazing. Like, I'm not even going to factor in the crashes. Like, that's supernatural. To have that many podiums, sprint podiums, is just.
Yeah.
It was a joy to watch this season, and I'm really excited to see how the rest of his career in MotoGP goes.
Yeah, because a lot of the South Africans were saying, "Oh, but what about his crashes? He's nowhere near as good as Binder, this, that, and the other. He's a rookie. You expect him to crash. How else are you going to find the limits of a bike? Like,
Yeah, you're not going to find all the limits in testing, are you?
no,
Like,
that's it. Like, if you don't crash, you're not trying hard enough. It's that simple. Like,
Mhm.
everybody's in MotoGP is going to crash. It's just how it is, and each place is different, so you're gonna crash. So yeah, that's waffle to factor in crashes on a rookie.
And also, quickly, sorry, Matt, his comebacks in the races as well were so good. Like, when he would qualify down, you'd be like, oh, Pedro's now like fourth or third or something. It would always just be that he was always around there.
Yeah.
And he was almost like becoming Mark, if that makes sense. Like, watching their on-track battles was so good.
Yeah, exactly. And the first person he passed in MotoGP was Marc Marquez, and it felt a bit symbolic, actually.
Nah, the rush of watching that race was so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Matt, what did you give him?
I gave him an 11 out of 10.
What? Is this
Okay.
real life?
He is a rookie that finished 6th in the championship, 2 points behind Brad Binder. He scored 215 points, and
Yeah.
Brad scored 217. To be that close to top 5 in the championship is absolutely insane for a rookie on an inferior bike.
Yep.
Have no MotoGP experience, and he just comes in and just he was 5 podiums and a pole as a rookie.
Yep.
That's unheard of.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And
I'm not sure
it
how
just
numbers work
proves
though.
that there's more to come. He's just gonna keep astonishing everyone.
So what happens next year if he wins the championship? What are you going to give him then?
10.
Yeah, he's gonna lose a point in the championship. Like, yeah, numbers aren't your strong point, but I'll allow an 11 for Pedro because he was that impressive. He was
I
like,
mean, if yeah, I just had to throw something in there to keep the conversation going.
no, what you're saying is right. Like, when you consider he could have been the best non-Ducati on the grid, and in his rookie
He was
year,
so close. It was him, like, until the last round, was it?
yeah,
And then he got dethroned by Brad. Like, it was super close.
yeah. I really hope KTM bring the heat next year, and I know they got their struggles financially and stuff, but the 25 bike etc. is already set. It's already financially done. It shouldn't affect it. So
Mm.
like, you know, if KTM bring heat next year, we could have a real issue on our hands with KTM. So yeah, I'm not going to disagree with the 11 out of 10 for Pedro, but again, numbers not his strong point. So seventh place was Maverick Vinales. I give Maverick a 6 out of 10. I said he's the only non-Ducati winner all year, but he went missing for the majority of it. I don't think you really need to say much more about that. Like, it's
Mhm.
mental that he was the only Ducati winner, that non-Ducati winner, sorry, of the whole season at Kota, doing the double no less. And then Maverick, the rest of it, where he just went completely missing, apart from an odd pop up here and there, and yet he still got seventh in the championship. Like, I don't understand Maverick Vinales in the slightest, but yeah, 6
I
out of
don't
10.
I
think
don't think
anyone
anybody
does.
does.
No,
No,
No.
exactly.
no, like, yeah, I said Brad Binder was confusing, but Vinales takes it up a notch, doesn't he? He's just
Oh, yeah,
if
he's
he can,
100% mental rider.
yeah,
There's all of his skill is there, but he's just so mental that it it
mm,
hinders him most of the time.
yeah, like I've said in the past, and I will stand by it. I think on natural talent alone, I think Maverick Vinales is the best rider in that MotoGP field. He doesn't have the
I
whole
think he's
package, but as on
yeah.
rider talent alone, I think he's the single best. The things he
Well,
can
there
do.
you go. It's shown through he is the first rider to win on 3 different manufacturers as well. That shows the adaptability, the technical ability of learning a new motorcycle. Like, I
Yeah,
don't agree he's the best, but I can, there's evidence there that can help your point.
as a package, he's nowhere near, but
Mm.
as one facet of it, I think he is. But like, like I wouldn't rule him out for winning on the KTM next year for a
I
race, but then
I
go
think
Oh,
missing
he's
for the
for
going
fuck's
points.
to. I genuinely think he's
Yeah,
going to.
yeah, but like he'll go missing then for 4 rounds after that, and that's what frustrate the hell out of me with
He'll
Maverick.
do good for the following round after that, and then he'll fall off.
Mm.
He rides on the hype of what's going on around him.
Yeah, yeah, he's very much a mental rider. So I give him 6 out of 10. Isabella?
I gave him a 5, and yeah, the only comment that I wrote actually was the word invisible. So I think that says everything that needs to be said. But yeah, the dominance at Kota was sensational, but I don't think that can bring his score up any higher. Like, the 5 is just bang in the middle. It was average. Yeah,
Yeah,
seventh in
he
the
was just
world.
meh, wasn't he? Like, oh, yeah, Mav, you do my head in, but Matt, what did you do?
I gave him a 7 out of 10.
Oh, okay, higher than both of
That's
us.
higher than both of us.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Yeah. Cause I think he got the Coda win, and I think he showed. I don't want compared to his previous years. I think his mental game was better. He didn't have any like real incidents like he has in the past, as far as like mental outbursts.
yeah,
So I
but
think
it's
he
but like at the same
and,
time with that, would they
and
have
he
actually worked in his favor?
I agree that he was somewhat invisible, but I think he just kind of rode the bike. He was comfortable riding with Aleix as his teammate, and he liked the Aprilia. And I think he just, you know, rode the game. I don't think he tried to do anything outrageous.
Yeah, yeah, but is that worth a 7? Because like I think that's worth 5, 6 if you're just there. 7
That
is
may be fair,
climbing higher, but I can see what you're
but I've
saying.
already put it down and I'm not changing it.
No,
So
that's fair. I will argue the point, but that's fine. You know, I've been called a contrarian on many occasions, so live up to it now. Right, moving on to eighth place, which was the second GP23, which was Alex Marquez. I give him a 7 out of 10, and I put that he was a 7 because he was the best GP23 of the non-Marc Marquez top 4. In the proper, in inverted commas, GP23 fight, he came out on top. I'm not 100% sure he would have if DG had stayed fit, but you know, if Granny had plums, she'd be grandpa, and that's how it fell. 8th place in the world is still not bad from Alex, but I'm expecting more on the GP24 next year. So 7 out of 10, I think, is quite fair. Isabella?
I think that's incredibly high. I gave him a 4
4?
out of
Oh my
10.
goodness.
Bloody hell.
No, mine are actually quite harsh, but we'll get to that as we go further down. Anyway, like it was so insignificant. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Fermin beats him next year because what does he even do? He just rides
Oh
around
my god.
and then inherits podiums. Like I don't really ever see a fight with Alex Marquez, unfortunately, so I can't rate him any higher because I'm not seeing that fighting desire that he really like. The last time he had a sprint win was in 2023. Like this is
Did he not win a
just
sprint last year?
that's what I said.
24, I mean.
No, I don't think so.
I feel like he won a sprint somewhere. Anyway, carry on.
Maybe in Asia because I
Yeah, I
remember
feel
everybody
like-
being like,
Yeah,
"Oh, he hasn't got one since Silverstone 2023."
yeah, I feel like he did.
That was
win a
like the
sprint last year.
narrative.
But anyway, carry on.
Well, there isn't too much to say. It's just average.
God, I think that's incredibly harsh for someone who's beaten every other GP23
Four isn't an
by his
average
brother.
number. That's less than average, actually.
Yeah, yeah. What did you give him, Matt?
A 7.
Yeah, same as me. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, in compared to his previous years, he's up 1 position from 2023, and he's significantly higher than he was in 2022. So, I think he's improving, getting more adjusted to the bike, and riding much better because of it.
Yeah, but I will back you on that. I feel like he is
And-
becoming
and
more
I'll-
well-rounded.
I'll say I'll agree with Isabella that maybe he's not done anything like outstanding, but he's not done anything like particularly bad. So
No,
I think he's
like when you
he's
consider he's beaten riders who were up there more last year on exact same machinery, I think you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt that it was actually not a bad season at all. Which we'll get to the next couple of GP23s in a second, and even a GP24 he beat. Like, I think 4 is incredibly harsh, and Furman's not going to beat him next year. As good as Furman is, there's no way. So yeah, Alex Marquez, done. Next up in 9th was Frankie Morbidelli. Now, I gave Frankie a 6 out of 10. I said I was prepared to give him leeway due to the preseason crash, but he didn't at the level expected. Now, we saw glimpses, but he was on a GP24. He was on the same bike that won the championship and was 2nd and was 4th. Was it good enough to really warrant anything other than a top 6 as a non-disappointment? I think is the only way you can put it. Like 6 out of 10, I think, looking at it, actually might be a bit too high for Frankie, but either way, he came 9th. I gave him 6 out of 10. I was prepared to let him off at the start of the season, but he didn't really improve. So yeah, 6 out of 10. Isabella?
I gave him a 3 out of 10
oof, just stomping on people today.
Yeah.
because your teammates to the world champion, you're on the same bike as him, with the same people in the same environment. What the hell are you doing? You're doing nothing. That's what. Like, he just honestly, watching him get overtaken every single race, you just lose more and more respect and hope for this person. And I'm going to be honest, I don't even think he should have got a contract for 2025.
What the hell?
I'm actually going to agree with that final statement
Woo!
because I don't agree with the scoring
Okay.
necessarily, but if you like his previous years, he's been so like fluctuating so much. Like in 2020, he took 2nd in the championship, and it's just been a downhill slide since there.
He hasn't been good since the first half of 2021.
No.
Granted, you can blame injuries, but
Yeah, but when do we give this narrative up? It's been 3 years.
yeah, he's been injured every single one of those years.
Exactly.
But like
And-
at some
and-
point, team owners are going to be like, he's he's made a Weetabix. At some point, you've got to give it up, haven't you? But
Yeah, he's just and like you said, he's on the 2024 Ducati, so he should have done better.
if he
He
was on a
His technical
GP23,
ability is not there. Yeah.
oof, oof. Like if he was on a GP23 and he'd come ninth, I think okay. You know what I mean? But he was on a
Mhm.
the more I say it,
superior
the more I'm
bike.
thinking I should have went for a 4, but
Wait, Matt, what was your rating?
a
Sorry.
5.
Very middle of the
Hmm.
road, yeah.
I think that's fair enough.
Like I will. That's the only reason I gave him a 6 was because of injuries. In that he did ring his bell very hard at Portimao preseason, and that
And I
is
have no
enough to
doubt, and
affect someone.
that's unfortunate. But if you're going to injure yourself all the time, that's
Yeah, yeah. Like there's only so much you
something
can
to
think. But
consider.
like because he missed preseason, I was prepared to give him a little leeway because he still needs to get used to the bike. No, I would give anyone the same leeway for that. But by mid season, you'd be expecting him to be at the level of the other GP24s, and he wasn't. So yeah, if he can have a clear preseason and do something next year and prove that he does deserve to be there, great. If he doesn't, you gotta think he's out. It's that simple. So yeah, Frankie Morbidelli 9th. In 10th place was Fabio Di Gianantonio. I give him an 8 out of 10, and I said he probably would have been 7th if not for a bum shoulder, and he's earned the only other GP25 next year. And I stand by that. I think DG came on leaps and bounds. He once he found the setup and the confidence on the GP22 in 2023, it was too late to get a contract, but somehow he managed to wangle his way into VR46. And the gamble paid off because now he's the only other rider on a factory Ducati contract apart from Marquez and Pecco. And I do genuinely think there's a good chance he'll be top 5 next year. I wish I could have seen what he could have done this year for the whole year, but I totally understand taking the time off for the shoulder to help him recuperate, ready for having a better bike. I still give him an 8 or 10 because he really impressed me this year. He was consistently one of the best non-Marquez GP25s. He still has a little bit to go, but I think he can do it. So, 8 out of 10. Isabella, what do you give him?
I gave him a 7 out of 10 because I agree. He's come on leaps and bounds since his days in Moto 2, where he was average. But yeah, ever since 2023, his win in Qatar, like he's been so amazing to watch. And yeah, he's got even stronger this year. And I think we all started to become fans of him this year. And then we all really, resonated with the pain that he would have felt not being able to race in those final rounds. But I'm glad he took the time to be fully fit for 2025.
Yeah.
But yeah, just strong really the whole way through. It was great to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Matt?
I gave him a 6 out of 10
Dude.
because I think he is more average than what you guys seem to think he is. He did do better. I don't think he did worse necessarily, but I just he was not as impressive as you guys. I didn't think he's as impressive as you guys thought.
God damn, son. Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay, fine. Well, it's your opinion. It's wrong, but it's your opinion. So,
Fair enough.
yep, 10th place was Fabio Di Gianantonio. In 11th, we have Alicia Spargaro. I give him a 6 out of 10. I said 10 out of 10 for the career he's had. A major component of Aprilia's rise, but was definitely looking to meet 2024 MotoGP behind without injury. And yeah, he did well in bits, and obviously at his beloved Barcelona, he definitely performed higher. But you could see by the end of the season, he completely lost interest in taking a risk, and I don't blame him. Like he wanted to move on to the next stage of his life injury free, and you can't really blame him for that. So yeah, 6 out of 10 for Alish for the season, but 10 out of 10 for the career. Isabella?
Yeah, I think you're totally right. I gave him a 5 out of 10 because yeah, after he announced his retirement, he completely lost interest, as you said. He was not fighting anymore. Things were just sort of passing by. Was it that we saw in the last round he was helping Martin as well,
Yeah.
which was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, not really anything to talk about, which, is just an average season in which to end his very long career, it would have been nice to see a few more podiums, something like this, but yeah,
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yep, Matt.
I also gave him a 5, just for the same reasons. He became very passive in the championship.
Yeah.
Just wanted to finish and
Yeah.
enjoy what he had done.
Yeah, like you can't. I don't blame him. Like, he's been in the game for a long time. What was it, 336 races? I think in the end. That's
Yeesh.
that's a lot of races and he deserves to go to the next stage of his life without any lasting effects. So yeah, I do not blame him in the slightest. Well done, Alish, for a great career, and he came 11th.
We'll miss you.
Yeah, absolutely. I swore by Alish for years. People slated me for it. How stupid do you look now? And anyway, in 12th, Marco Bezzecchi. I give Bez a 5 out of 10. Said after the 2023 year, I expected way more. DG Lane did look a bit average. And yeah, I I was actually very, very disappointed with Bezzecchi. After coming third and, being in somewhat of a title contention in 2023 on a year-old bike, you'd expect me to come into this year and do more of the same. But he just could not get on with the GB23. He couldn't make it turn, he couldn't brake, he couldn't do anything on it. I do think it would have been solved if he'd been on a GP24 next year, hilariously, but he decided to have a change, go to factory Aprilia, fine, whatever. Not going to do much on there either, but that's a conversation for another day.
Oof.
And I was very, very disappointed for 12th place for someone who came third last year. That's just not on. Very disappointed with Bez. I hope he does better, but I don't know. Got my doubts. So yeah, 5 out of 10. Isabella?
It pains me to say this, but I actually gave him a 4 out of 10. And for context, I am such a big Bezzecchi fan. Like, my Discord username
Yep.
was literally 72
Yep.
because I honestly, last season, oh my God, I believed all the way until, last couple rounds, it obviously went to
Yep.
Pecco's way. But like this season, he never showed up once.
No.
The amount of times he crashed, oh my goodness.
Yep.
And I know, as you said earlier, like crashing is a way to learn, but it's like he achieved nothing, unfortunately. So, we can only hope that it will be different on the Aprilia. As you said, I'm not too convinced. I mean, I'm even shocked that he got that ride with this year's performance, if you get what I mean,
Yep.
but it's a shame.
Yep. I got to agree. Yep. Matt?
I also gave him a 4 for the. Yeah, he just wasn't there, and it's not even like he was learning the bike at all and getting better throughout the year. He just
Mhm.
stayed consistently poor on the
Yeah.
bike.
That's
Just
it.
nothing.
Like
Like
he was
I'm shocked
crashing.
he finished as good as he did in the championship, and probably the only reason is because it's actually a Ducati that he was on. So
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, if he'd been on even an Aprilia or a KTM, he would have been much lower.
he'd been back there with the Hondas.
Yeah, well, let's not go that far, but yeah,
I don't know.
but yeah, like I just what what can you say about it? It's such a fall off. It needs to be studied. It's terrible. So yeah, Marco Bezzecchi, 12th place. 13th place, Fabio Quartararo. I give Fabio a 7 out of 10. Said he was the best of the Japanese manufacturers and did all he could. And yeah, that's I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Like to come the most in the highest of the worst bikes in inverted commas, I think is an honor in itself. It proves that your level is there or thereabouts. Um, Next year, like I say, and I know I've said we're not discussing next year, but next year is gonna be it for him. Like to decide whether he even stays with Yamaha or not. So I don't think there's much to mention for Fabio this year. It was just a very meh season on one of only two Yamahas, and yeah, he just pushed as hard as he could and got 13th. It's got to be a bit of a kick in the nuts after being a championship contender for the last couple of years. But yeah, Fabio Quartararo, I give him a
I
7.
I gave him a 7 as well,
Yep.
but I don't think next year is going to be it for him because Yamaha handed him the big burlap sack with the dollar bill sign on the front of it, and
Yeah.
he just kind of has come to terms with now. He's just now Yamaha's whore to try all the bike parts out, and you know
Jesus.
he I don't know if he's even concerned with winning a championship. I think he's just making some money now. He has his championship title,
Yeah,
and now he's got a bag of money,
yeah.
and the bike's at least not the absolute worst bike on the grid. So
Well, by the end of 2026, he'll be 24 million quid richer. Now, that's not to be sniffed at, but at what point does ambition outweigh funds?
I would say he'll at least do it for a couple of years, and if there's really no development, then he'll take his business elsewhere. But
Yep. So what do you give him, a 7 as
he's
well?
still, yeah, I gave him a 7 as well.
Yep.
But he's still a young rider, so I mean, not young compared to the young guys, but he's not
Yeah, he's got time.
aging out anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly. Isabella, what do you give him?
I gave him a 6 out of 10 because, yeah, as you guys said, I think he reached the full potential of the bike, unfortunately, but I definitely could see how much he was fighting in every single race. So, free practice session, like he was really pushing all the time. And there was a couple like anomalies that happened. It was a shame he got taken off somewhere. That was really sad to watch because he was actually doing well for once. But yeah, I hope he doesn't become too comfortable, as you guys are saying, and it is becoming a bit stagnant. But as it shows, like 13th in the world is not that bad for that bike, but
Best
he is
Japanese
so
manufacturer.
talented.
I think he did literally all he could with that bike.
Exactly.
But like at the end of the day, still coming 13th, you can't really get anything.
It's not
higher
good
than a
enough,
7
yeah.
out of 10. Especially for someone who, was a world champion not too long ago. So yeah, Fabio Quartararo 13th. 14th, Jack Miller. I give Miller a 2 out of 10. And I
Good.
think yeah. And I honestly, that could even be high. He's lucky to still be on the grid. It didn't work. Like how he's gotten a ride in 2025
I'm so glad I agree with you.
that an Augusto Fernandez is the test rider is baffling to me. Like everybody's saying, oh, he's a good guy, he's funny, he turns up, he's a good development, this and the other. Who cares? Like he's what Yamaha needs. Is he? Fuck. I'm sorry. No. He is not what Yamaha needs.
No.
Like what Yamaha needs is a top rider to push the bike with Fabio. Like what they don't need is a guy who's very middling and comes 14th, 15th, 16th all the time. Like nah, I'm sorry. Like I really don't understand the Jack Miller hype, and I haven't for years, but and maybe I'm starting to accept and maybe I'm wrong because team managers keep giving him rides. So I don't know. But yeah, I give him a 2 out of 10, but I'm prepared to go down to a 1. So yeah, Isabella?
No, I'm probably the same. I gave him a 2, but it could literally go down to a 1 because he must be so good at chatting up the team bosses. That's all that it is.
Yeah.
Like on track, it's absolutely nothing. He's doing nothing. And then, it rolls around. He's crying about, he's joking about not having a seat. Good, you should be. Go home. Go ride in the Australian Championship.
Oh, no, see, I
Okay,
wouldn't
no,
wish him on the SBK
okay, fine.
either, to be honest.
Okay, I went too far because he didn't even win that race when he competed in that, remember?
Yep.
But anyway,
Yep.
I'm
Oh,
honestly
Max
shocked
could beat
that
him.
Yes, I hope he listens to this. He should have a ride next year. I completely agree. Yamaha do not need him because he's slow.
Yeah, that's it. He's literally he's not good enough to take Yamaha to the level they need to be. It's just that simple. And I'm actually looking at this, like I'm going through the thing on my comments, and the comment says harsh as fuck rating. Dude was discarded by KTM as soon as Wonder Boy turned up, even though he crashed his brains out. Binder is overrated too, by the way.
Ooh.
Can you?
Ooh, that's a bold statement.
Yeah, and no, it isn't bold. It's
He must be an
just
Aussie.
wrong. Yeah, I think he actually is. Yeah, I'm not going to mention his name on you. He knows who he is. But yeah, yeah, that's just completely wrong. And I would discard him as soon as Wonder Boy turned up as well because Wonder Boy is 10 times better. But yeah, anyway, Matt, what do you give him?
All right, I'm ready to get the gloves out for a couple rounds here.
Okay.
I gave him a 5 out of 10.
Oh, what's wrong with you?
He had a very underwhelming year, yes.
Yep.
And he has been on a downhill slide, but the statement of he's done nothing for the past few years is absolutely egregious to say.
What has he done since Portimao 2023?
Since Portsmouth of 2023, last year he didn't even really have that good of a year either. But
Huh.
2020 he had a good year. 2021 he had a good year.
Well, hang
2022
on.
he had a good year.
You gave him a 5, but you rated Morbidelli for the same thing.
Also, you gave him a 5 because he did good 5 years ago.
What did I
Sod
rate
off.
Morbidelli?
You rated Morbidelli less than Miller.
No, I didn't. I gave him a 5.
Okay, well, equal to Miller. I mean, come on, bro.
Yeah. They're both on a downhill slide. They had a good year, but Miller has been on a slower downhill. Morbidelli this year stepped it up a little bit more than he had previously, but Jack in the last few years was not that bad. This year, yes, he was lower. I think it's partially because the KTM's just not been that great of a
No,
bike.
I will agree there.
Yes, Pedro and Brad did quite well on it, but Pedro's an anomaly. He's just insane.
He's an 11 out
And
of 10.
Brad's just consistent. Like, he doesn't really need anything different. He just needs a bike under him.
Yeah. You can see the way Binder rides. He's very different to everybody else. So yeah, I will give you that.
Yes.
But at the
Yes.
same time, a 5 for Miller, I think that's way too generous. But, it's your opinion. Again, it's wrong, but it's your opinion. So yeah, Jack Miller, 14th, and still lucky to be in a ride next year, even if it is a Yamaha. So 15th was Miguel Oliveira. I give Miguel a 5 out of 10. I said a sprint podium in Germany aside, distinctly average. And yeah, I expected more of Miguel. Granted, injury problems did come back and haunt him slightly, and the Portuguese will argue that's very harsh. But, the Portuguese will give Miguel Oliveira a 10 out of 10 even if he crashes out, so by the by. But yeah, he beat Raul Fernandez, which is why I give him a 5. Other than that, he's probably going to do a bit better on the Yam next year. So yeah, I give Miguel a 5. Isabella, what do you think?
I don't think so. He is not going to do any better.
Oof.
I gave him a 2 out of 10.
2?
He
Whoa,
is the
whoa,
one
whoa,
that
whoa,
has
whoa,
just
whoa.
been bad for years.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa,
What?
whoa,
Oh, no,
whoa.
let me finish. He has been bad for years. He has not done good. Like, he's had a couple wins and a couple of podiums. This year, he had 1 podium.
Yeah.
2020 was his best year. He finished 9th in the championship.
Yeah.
And that was like the COVID year.
Yeah.
So to only kind of do well in a not normal year, that's not good.
Okay.
And then this year he's just never like shown any sort of consistency of doing well. And in my notes here, it is specifically put way, 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 way worse than Jack Miller.
What?
He is the one that should not have a ride next
I
year.
am absolutely speechless at that. What?
Fine, then don't talk.
Wow. Just wow. I think I'm going to need some therapy to address that. Bloody hell. What the hell? Give Miller a 5 and give Miguel a 2. You mental. Okay. Isabella?
I gave him a 3 out of 10 because I agree. This season was an absolute letdown. It was actually quite unfortunate to see how it unfolded because I was starting to get worried because he was the last rider to be announced. And I was starting to think, holy shit, he actually isn't going to get a ride. Because, yeah, he hasn't really done anything remarkable since Portugal's 2023 when he got taken off.
Yeah.
So it's a shame to see how it's gone. And I think I agree with Matt in terms of I don't think he's going to be on this grid for much longer. If 2025 is not, top fives, I think he's going to go.
I don't think he needs top 5s next year to stay on the grid in terms of what he's on. But if he can show progression on the Yamaha, I think his ride's safe for a couple of
Yeah,
years.
maybe top 5 is a bit high considering it's a Yamaha, but at least more top
I think he
10s.
keeps his seat because he is a class rider and he will.
He barely even made it through to Q2 this year.
Yeah.
That's really. He's not a rookie anymore. He's not injured anymore. It's like, wait, what's actually going on?
Yeah. I do feel for Miguel in that he does seem to be a bit of a magnet for crashes. that sometimes are really not his fault, you know. But at the same time, his time is running out now to prove himself. If this Yamaha satellite ride had come 3 years ago, he would have been in a much better place than he is now. But yeah, 5 out of 10, and threes and twos. I don't think you can rate him any higher than halfway, just because he was very average at best.
Worse than average,
Yeah, well,
some
average
might
or
say.
below. Yeah. So yeah, that was 15th
Definitely
place.
below.
Miguel Oliveira. In 16th place, Raul Fernandez. I give Raul a 6 out of 10. Said he was probably hurt by the switch to the 24 bike. He was doing fairly well until then. And yeah, it's rare you see a rider go to a next generation of bike and do worse. But Raul was that. Running the 2023 Aero for most of it, including in Phillip Island, where he didn't run any front wings, just to see how the 2024 bike worked. And, well, it didn't. He came exactly the same, but nonetheless. I think he should have stayed on the 23. I think if he had stayed on the 23, he would have actually beaten Miguel and possibly a few others as well. He was doing fairly well until then.
I always wonder that if for some riders it's better for them to actually stick with what they know and what they're comfortable on as opposed to constantly having to change up.
Yeah.
Because when Luca Marini first got on he was on like that year's spec bike, and then the following year he was still on that one,
Yeah.
or not the current spec, but he was on the same one from the previous year.
Yeah. Well, we saw it
And he
with
did
Bez.
quite well.
If Bez had
Yeah.
stayed on the Super 22, I imagine he would have done better than he did this year. So yeah, I think Aprilia actually hurt Raul a little bit by moving him to the 2024, which was possibly a worse bike. But yeah, he's the only one now, and he's going to be on a 2025, the only one who knows what the previous Aprilia felt like of all four of their riders. So the onus is on him now. But yeah, I give him a 6 out of 10. So Isabella, what are you giving him?
I gave him a 2 out of 10, which is quite different to your rating, to be honest. But
It is.
I think
Yes.
it's like his fourth or third season now, and it's just like it's getting to the point where it's a bit embarrassing to make excuses for this person because they're not improving, and it's actually a bit shocking to. Oh, Raul has so much potential. He crashed from his one time he was leading a race in an entire season, and he never came anywhere near it again for the rest of the year in Barcelona. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that was just really, really ridiculous that he actually was able to retain his contract based on that performance where it ended up in a DNF. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just really don't think he's cut out for this grid, unfortunately. And I don't know, I don't see it getting any better. And I mean, I'm happy to be surprised next year, but yeah, I think
I think you
based on
will
this
be.
year, it is quite a low rating.
Yeah, like I can see where you're coming from completely. Like in that, I did expect him to do more, but
We
switching
all did,
bikes
I think.
halfway
Yeah.
through it's hard. Like it is very hard. Like even minuscule differences make a massive difference on bikes. So I can understand why he struggled a little bit to get to grips with what is essentially a worse bike in the Aprilia in the 2024. Like, so I get it, but nonetheless, I think he did enough first half of the season to at least allow him one more year on a current bike from the off. If he doesn't perform this year, though, I agree with you. He's gone. R.I.P. So, yeah. Matt, what did you give him?
I gave him a 4.
Okay.
4. Yeah, he's been around for a little while now. Not long, but he's not really improving. And what I thought was interesting is he finished slightly higher in the championship this year, but actually scored less points. So that kind of shows that the back of the field is having like a kind of a shift, and they're just getting that much like farther behind. To me,
Yeah.
that's what I feel.
Hmm.
So, and he's not improving. That's what I'm seeing out of this whole thing.
What I
And
might
if
do
you're not
after this.
improving, you're definitely falling behind.
True, yeah. Now, what I might do after this is have a look at the first half of the season for last year compared to this year for him, 23 to 22, because I think he might actually be ahead of where he was with more points first half, where he was on the 23. So, yeah, I am quite interested to see how he does next year on the same bike from the off. If he can get to grips with the 25 and Aprilia brings some heat, he could actually do quite well. But there is also a lot of competition in there, so yeah. 16th place was Raul Fernandez. 17th place, Johan Zarco. I give Zarco an 8 out of 10. Said by far the best Honda, only Honda in Q2 all season and showed his class. And I don't think you need to say any more than that. He was consistently the top Honda, and by a margin. He actually dragged that Honda to Q2 on more than one occasion. Like, the things he was doing on that bike, not many others could have done, in my opinion, even at the top of the grid. So,
Okay, but in 8?
What's that?
But in 8?
8, yeah. Like what he did for me shows his actual class. I think 8 is fair in that nobody else could really have done what Zarco could have done. At least not many. I think maybe the top 4 could have done what Zarco done, but even then, like, could you really see Pecco performing on this Honda? Because I couldn't.
Oh,
Like,
no one can. That's
exactly.
the point. It's a Honda.
Yeah, and yet Zarco manages to get into Q2 on more than one occasion, finishes races in the top 10 on that thing. Nobody else came even close. I think an 8 is fair. And if he hadn't come 17th in the championship, if he'd come, in the fringes of 13th, 12th, 11th, I would have given him a 10, because it would have been the perfect season for what he had underneath him. But yeah, I give him an 8, and that may be low. So yeah, I think I was very impressed with Zarco this season. I thought it might all have gone tits up, but no, he showed his actual class, and I was very impressed. So 8 out of 10. Isabella, what are you gonna?
No, I agree with you. Like, I actually had a 4 written down, but after listening to what you've just said, I've booted it up to a 5 because when I really remembered, this was his first year on a Honda as well.
Yeah.
Like, all these other people performed so much lower than him, and especially Nakagami, who's been on that bike for years. He came in and has done that. It is amazing, actually. Like, and also a satellite. Like, I'm pretty sure, because the current state that they're in, the resources are quite fairly spread. But anyway, it's still a satellite team, and to do that, like, I remember he was up there in quite a few races, and like they would always show him on the cameras because it'd be like, oh shit, there's a Honda in the top 10. Like,
Yeah.
it was just like a wild Honda. Like, it was only him. The rest of them were consistently last. So I think he deserves a 5. Or even, I do agree an 8 is a bit high, but I guess in the context, he does deserve it.
Yeah. Matt?
I gave him a 6. I just couldn't see giving him an 8 because you can't say for sure that if he was on a different spec bike, like, that he would do any better. Like, he was already on the Ducati, and just like he got his 1 win.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah,
what he got? Did he not come 4th last season?
he did.
But that's the level he can put up.
And I agree, and that's why I gave him a 6. But now I understand the availability and what the teams are offering you, but I gave him a lower score partially because he did decide to ride a Honda. Like, I
Yeah.
understand maybe there wasn't many other options, but unfortunately, everyone should know by now that the Honda's a screaming pile of garbage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it should be avoided like the plague,
But
if
the thing
possible.
is, on the flip side of that, if you can be the guy to drag that Honda up, then look how good
You're a
you are.
legend. Yeah.
There's the risk for the glory. I see that, but
Yeah. Like,
he didn't
if
perform.
and I
So
will go one step further and say, I think based on everything through the whole season, Zarco was actually my rider of the year. He was that good.
Wow.
He was incredible. Like, in the
Wow.
MotoGP class, he was that good for me. Like, with everything he did. Like, you can't actually give him top rider when he comes 17th. But I think if you look at everything as a whole in the MotoGP sphere, I think he did the most with what he had. He was very, very impressive. So yeah, I give Zarco. I was very impressed with him. I hope he does even better next year. So we'll see. 17th place though. That's the low side of the Zarco season. 18th was Alex Rins. I sort of wrote down 5 out of 10. Meh, he was there sometimes. Yeah, I expected more of Rins, but can you really expect more of someone on a Yam? And especially someone made a Weetabix. Like, I don't think this combination's it, and he'll be lucky to keep his ride next year in MotoGP. Full stop. Why did Suzuki have to leave? Still bitter.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I gave him a 4 because I think he's on his way out. He's just on the downhill slide ever since Suzuki left, and he's just not looking good.
Yeah, but it's like that's the thing about Rins. There's just nothing to say about him. Like,
Mm-mm.
he was there sometimes he wasn't, and that's about it. Like,
I
what do you
mean,
give him,
on the
Isabella?
Suzuki, he put up a fight at Coda with Mark.
Yeah,
Like, that's amazing.
yeah,
And then step off the Suzuki, and we're back here trying to beat Hondas.
yeah.
Like,
I think he's got Fabio syndrome. In that 3 years ago, if we put him on the Yam, he would have been up there with Fabio championship contender. But now, nope. What do you give him, Isabella?
I gave him a 3. He wasn't able to show anything. Like, as you said, there's barely anything to say because he really didn't achieve much, unfortunately. Like, I used to rate him, but as you said, Matt, it's just becoming a bit of same old, and it's unfortunate. But there was a new opportunity with moving to this manufacturer. Obviously, he had a win on the Honda last year, but and I know that there's injuries. Everyone listening to this is going to think in their head, injured, but it's just like there are opportunities to still show your strength, and we didn't see that.
Yeah. Like, I think you'd expect him to at least be sort of around Fabio's level because on paper he is, but on tarmac he wasn't. That's the crux of it. So yeah, 18th place was Alex Rins. 19th was Taka Nakagami. I give him a 4 out of 10 because I said he couldn't do much, but he still beat the HRC boys. No, like, second Honda on a satellite bike, beat both Repsol boys. Like, I mean, you can't really criticize him, but you can't praise him either. Like, he just very middle ground of the Hondas. Like, to not be bottom Honda had to be the goal, and he achieved it. So yeah, I give him a 4. Very meh. Yeah. Anybody else?
well, I gave him a 5, and that's exactly why I did. He's just, yeah, he like has 1 or 2 moments every year that like almost looks really nice, and it looks like, oh, he's having a good weekend, and then it just like, oh, never mind, that was just he got kind of lucky there for a moment and had a good time or
Yeah.
whatever. And but like, I don't know, he doesn't really do anything necessarily bad per se, other than choose to ride a Honda.
You don't like Honda, do
He
you?
has no choice. He's Japanese.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair, but the point still stands that the Honda's a bad bike and it should be uh avoided like the plague.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think it goes back to the Zarko thing earlier. Like, if you can impress on a Honda, you can probably springboard yourself, unless you're Japanese. So, yeah, yeah. So,
I gave him a 2 out of 10 because I just think he was too comfortable. Like, I think he's been switched off since 2021. Honestly, like, I haven't really seen him push in a very long time. Obviously, I think Matt is referring to the final round of the season where he was like top of FP1 or something, and it
yeah,
was like, oh my
Yeah,
god, he's back. The goat is back. But
but like literally
unfortunately,
every year he has something like that where it's just
exactly. And here we
one
go. His
little
career
blip.
has now closed, and there's really nothing significant to look back on. So yeah, it's a shame it had to end like this. It'll be interesting to see how he can help the development of HRC. But
yeah. Well, he can test in
um,
Japan, can't he? Which will be nice.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like, I think comfortable is probably the right word for him because he knows
Yeah.
there was no
Yeah,
threat. He knew Agura didn't want to go up. Nobody else was ready. Like, he knew he was pretty much a shoe in, and was only going to get replaced when either Agura decided to ride or left, and Chandra had enough and said, "I want my MotoGP ride," and look what happens. Exactly that. So yeah, 19th Taka Nakagami, 20th Augusto Fernandez. I gave Augusto a 3 out of 10. I expected much more of him. He said he expected far more. We feel agreed he didn't get a Yamaha seat over Miller though, and yeah, like, I still think he was the better choice for Yamaha out of the two. And I would have put Miller in the test rider role because, he's a development rider. So, yeah. But,
You sound like your daughter.
yeah, well, that's basically how everybody else sounds when they're trying to defend Miller, don't they? Like a 9-year-old kid. So, whatever. But, yeah, Augusto just didn't do anything this year, and he will be first to admit that he was shit this year. He basically said it, and it's cost him his ride in the World Championship. But I can't argue with him leaving 20th in the world on a bike where your rookie teammate came 6th and nearly top non-Ducati. Made you look like a bit of a mug, haven't it? Especially as you were a Moto2 champion like your rookie teammate. So, yeah, very disappointed with Augusto, unfortunately. He's far better than he finished. So, yeah, 3 out of 10. Isabella?
I feel bad saying this out loud now, but I actually gave him a 1 out of 10.
Oof.
But it's, I don't want to go too much into it, but like he only won that 2022 Moto2 World Championship out of luck anyway because his competitor crashed. Like his whole MotoGP career echoes that. Like he had a fourth last year in France, and it was like, oh my god, he's it. Like it's so good. And then this year, disappointment, and utterly a waste of time, unfortunately. But I will say, sorry, that was a bit harsh. I will say I would have liked to have seen him go to World Superbike. It's a shame that, like, yeah, as you said, he is a Moto2 World Champion. Like, I would have
Yeah.
liked to see him be competitive, and now he's just going to be a test rider. Like, it feels sad. He's also quite young. Well, no, he isn't.
I will
But-
say, I do think on his 6 wild cards that he's going to get, he's going to beat Miller in every single one of them.
All right, I agree with you.
He should have got the full season and Miller should have got the development right, but there we are. It is where it is. But
He'll
yeah,
probably beat Rins as well.
well, yeah, that's not, well, if Rins is there, because you might have Weetabix. But, like, for me, it's,
True. He's going to be the one replacing Rins every weekend.
yeah, like, he's getting 6 races anyway, but yeah, we're going to see a lot of Augusto next year, but it's still, I think he'll be aggrieved at that. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I don't agree that his World Championship was won on luck, because you can't be lucky to win a World Championship. There's just so much that goes into it. Like, but I see what you're saying in that he didn't dominate Moto2 like a few of the other riders have.
Exactly.
And
he had been there for many, many years as well.
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
just sort of was like, oh, you're on IO. You've arrived at the top. Like,
yeah,
oh, I've somehow won the World Championship. Like, Pedro was literally better than him that season as well.
yeah. Like, you know, he did enough to win the championship, so don't think it's fair
Yeah,
to
of
call him
course.
lucky. But I see what you're saying, and he did have the best team around him in IO as well, which helped him a lot. But yeah, Matt, what are you giving him?
I also gave him a 1. He
Oh my God.
was, in fact, a waste of time this year.
Jesus
He
Christ.
got
You've
got-
copied me. No, I'm joking.
he got beat by 2 Hondas and barely beat the other 2 in the championship position. And what has he done to beat nothing? He's done nothing this year.
You're doing fucking
Absolutely.
nothing.
He's done nothing at all.
Okay. Well,
I
do
can't
think-
even expand more. I can't expand on when he's done nothing. It's
I think one's harsh, but yeah. 20th, Augusto Fernandez. 21st, Joan Mir. I give him a 3 out of 10 and said he was a glorified crash test dummy. And he's only got a 3 because he's on a Honda. Like, he's clearly pushing and clearly has the talent to win a world championship. I already has. But, God, what a bad season. Like, I really feel for Mir. I wish he could have got on the arm. At least he's not going to be decking it 3 times a weekend. You know, so it's like, I'm so pissed off about Mir. His career's just gone down the toilet. I think he's not got much left. He's just taking the money.
damn Suzuki had to screw everyone over.
They did. Like, literally, I've said it for years. Like, since they pulled out and everybody knew the news, everybody's performance in that team, no matter who it was, went downhill. From, like, kitchen staff. I bet even their cooking was worse. It's just, but poor Mia, he's got the worst end of the stick. At least Rins is on a bike that's not trying to kill him every weekend. But Mia's is not. So, yeah, crash test dummy, 3 out of 10. Isabella, what are you giving him?
I gave him a 2 out of 10 because, yeah, he was not able to adapt at all. Hopefully after all the crashes this year for 2025, there'll be some improvements. But yeah, I will honestly be a Joan Mir defender until I die. Like, the potential this man has, the record of Moto3 wins in a season that he had retained for that long until Alonso, like, He was the shit. And now to see him, I don't even honestly, I bet his manager rues the day that he signed for Factory Honda because
Yeah.
it's really it's not going to see the light of day in a positive light. Like it's super unfortunate these circumstances, and
Think of where his
I just
confidence is at right now. Even if Honda bring a Ducati level bike next year, I really don't think he's going to be able to take advantage because he's going to be so devoid of confidence.
Yeah, he's going to be so shaky from having rode this death trap
Yeah.
for 2 seasons.
Well, no, I
And
don't think it's unfair to call it a death trap because you look
yeah.
at it funny and it throws you off. Like it is genuinely terrifying how knife edge the Honda is. So
And
yeah,
I don't like that everybody was just making jokes like, ah, he's crashed again. It's not funny. Like, this is a serious situation.
it is. Like at one point you've got to laugh or you'll cry. You know what I mean? Like he had so many.
I
Like
suppose it
you've got
was
to find
literally,
some
yeah.
humor because otherwise you'll end up punching walls if you're a Mia fan, wouldn't you? Yeah. Like
indeed,
if you go in expecting him to deck it 3 times a weekend, you can't be disappointed. And that's probably where his head is at. I really feel for Mia. I was praying that like when I heard back in like April that Pramac were going to be taking over Yamaha, I was praying that they'd take Mia. And then when they announced Miguel and Miller, I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake. So, yeah. What are you giving him, Matt?
I gave him a 3
Yeah.
because he, you know, I would love to give him higher because I'm somewhat of a Joanne Mir fan, but he can't show what he can do. He's riding the Honda,
Mm,
and
that's
so
it.
that's why I took some points away because he signed to ride a Honda, that
Yeah, but like,
incredibly
oh,
poor bike, and
it's
yeah,
just, to me, though, it's like Honda can be good. They've got the power. They're huge. They can be there. It's just frustrating to see they're not. And it's just, ugh. Well, on the plus side, at least Mia wasn't last. 21st,
well, and
Joan
one
Mir.
of these years they're going to find the right rider and the right bike combination together, and
They
it's
are.
just going to go off again. I can already see it.
Yeah, but who is the best rider to
They're not
make
going to
that
make
work?
any sort of slow comeback up the ratings or fast one. They're just going to one day they're going to be the fastest with 1 or 2 riders, and that's just how it's
But
going to be.
who can possibly do that job?
I don't know if we have anyone right now.
Exactly.
I foresee this being a long haul for Honda.
Now, I think they're going to have to basically make a Ducati clone to come somewhere near again. And that's probably what they'll end up doing, to be honest. They're already starting it. Taka tested a bike that was basically a Ducati clone in Japan the other week. And it was looking a bit better. At least it didn't look like he was trying to murder him. So that's a start. But yeah, anyway, Dramir 21st. And 22nd and last, unfortunately, Luca Marini. Said at least he finished races, albeit a mile off. And I knew Marini was in for a tough, tough job coming from Ducati to Honda.
Yeah.
And, Zarco proved that perhaps it was not the worst thing to ever happen to somebody and that it could be done. But Marini is not as good as Zarco and is showing. I do actually quite like Marini. I think he's got a good feel. But right now, where the bike isn't working, I think his feel is actually working against him, and he doesn't quite know where to turn. But who does know where to turn with this Honda right now? I don't think it's a slight against him. But yeah, I just give him a 3 because he's, again, on a Honda. I think that does bump you up. If he'd done this on a Ducati, we'd be giving him -5. But it's on a Honda, so yeah, I give him a 3 out of 10. Isabella?
I gave him a 2 because unfortunately I just think this is a bit harsh by the way, but I think this whole year shows his lack of technical ability. Like, of course, I'm not taking away from any of these fantastic riders. Like, they are so, so, so talented that they can ride machinery like this. But it's when you look at it in comparison to the others,
Yeah, you've
he
got to
is even
contextualize him.
less, exactly, he's even less able to adapt than Mir. And it's like, holy shit, like, where do you really go from this? Like, I'm sure over this off season, he's also going to be having these thoughts of just like,
Do I
It makes
wanna
you a bit
come back?
nihilistic. Yeah, exactly. It's just it's really a shame
I mean,
to
if
witness.
Carlos can just let Masia go to World Supersport, I'm sure he's thinking, oh, can somebody in World Superbike see me ride? Come on. But yeah, I think you're right. I think he's going to be sat there now thinking, do I need this? And the money must be amazing. That's all I'm saying for both riders to stay. Matt, what are you giving him?
I gave him a 3. Just the Hondas, they all deserve low scores.
Hmm.
Um, I'm a massive Luca Marini fan. I think he needs to make the phone call to Valentino to make that phone call to get him anywhere but on a Honda. I think that's what needs to happen.
Yeah,
And he would definitely be better than 22nd
I
for
think
sure
I
if he
think
was not
that is the
riding a
plan.
Honda.
I think if Morbidelli doesn't perform, I think Marini goes back there to VR46.
Yeah,
Like,
I think that's
it
probably
has
what
to
he
be
should do.
something. Just
I honestly thought he should have just period stayed VR46, just like being comfortable with, you know, Valentino's team and on a bike he's familiar with. And
I don't
I think
blame
he would.
him.
Yeah, but he wanted to go against that
Yeah.
And I
that
get
notion. Do you know
it.
what I mean?
But I also don't
I
get him
do get
signing
that.
factory Honda.
And
Like,
I get the whole hopefully I can fix the Honda and get the glory for it. But
Ego.
I think there's just too much
yeah,
pushing against everyone on a Honda right now. I
yeah.
think.
I think if he can stay and stay healthy, as I say, I think Honda have the potential to come back because of the resources they have. But it's whether both these riders are around to see that benefit of that, or whether they're in, I hate to say it, but like, hurt, because that can happen on the Honda, unfortunately. So we'll see. And that's it. That's every single rider rated who was a full time rider. There were a few others who were replacement riders, but I didn't include those.
Yeah.
And I'm going to spring this on you now, you two. I've already said mine. Who was your rider of the year? I'll give you a sec to think about because I sprung it on you and it was a surprise.
I'm gonna go with Marc Marquez because I know there was a lot of hype at the beginning of the season because we all know what he's capable of to some degree, but like still he wowed us. Like
Yeah.
it would have been great to see the battle of the three of them fully go to the end of the season, but he put in a great fight, went pushed for as long as he could, and he
Yeah.
set himself up great for 2025. So yeah, I'm very impressed.
Yep. Okay. And Matt?
I'll give it to Jorge Martin. He showed that he should have been on the factory bike this year, and he should have gotten it for next year. So he
Just
he's
can't
done
back
well.
it.
That's a shame because he did quite well this year.
He did. He did.
So well that he is the champion. In fact, I don't know if you knew this.
No, he did very well, but I can't back him having the factory seat last year when he didn't win the championship, as I said earlier. And this year, if you're choosing between Jorge Martin and Marc Marquez to ride your bike, sorry, Jorge, nah, fam. But I can see why you've said it. I do understand where you're coming from. So yeah, that is it. Join us in a couple of weeks after Sepang in, I think, late February, early March. I'm not 100% sure on the dates, and I'm not going to bother looking now. But join us after that for our 2025 preview, where we'll have a bit more of an idea of who's going to be in contention, who's going to be disappointing, and everything in between. So we'll speak to you then. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.